Welcome to Inside the Set with Set Decor. Inside the Set is a series that focuses on the design and decor of stories that excite us and ignite our imaginations, where we get to discuss the collaborations between production designers and set decorators, and hear firsthand accounts of how those works of art came to be, from their inception, ideas on a page, through completion, where we sit in the dark and experience them collectively.
Hello and welcome to Inside the Set with Set Decor. I'm Pascale SDSA, and today we have the amazing design team from Barbie, Sarah Greenwood, production designer, and Katie Spenser, SDSA, set decorator. I have a million questions for you. Welcome, ladies.
And it's lovely to see you again, Jan.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the movie, just amazing. And I know that you had to build every single thing, right?
No, there was when we did pure Barbieland, no, everything was created or painted or adapted or something, fabricated until we get to Kendom. And then that was a relief because the real world could be used then.
Finally. You know what really struck me was how much I could see your theatrical background, the two of you, and you used every trick. I mean, it was just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that, Jan, because, as you know, we both come from theatre and we both love, the old school techniques. And sometimes we kind of slip them in under the wire. We get them in, we kind of find a way of getting them in, but here it was embraced so open-armed by Greta and, the producers. And this was our genre, wasn't it? We were absolutely back into, the tangible and the real and the in camera. And it was like, well, there's a joy.
Sarah's right. We've always somehow slipped in a little theatrical moment all the way through, whether from Pride and Prejudice to this. And we talk about this being the strange cousin to Anna Karenina. They're in the same family in a way.
Yeah.
And love that. But to do all those in camera things was wonderful. And to have the possibility to make so much was great, and so much that was joyful. Yeah.
I hope you were having fun doing this.
As we all know, when you're trying to work it out and you're trying to find your way of your key in your, what are the rules? I know, the rules we had to give ourselves parameters, because normally on any other film you have parameters. It's a period, it's this, you've got these references. Well, we didn't have them. We had a doll.
Yeah.
And it's like, so once we'd set the parameters, it was great.
It was really helpful. Yeah. The omitting of black and white. The hardest thing to actually lose, I think, from the set deck perspective was no chrome. Because, we also made all the bicycles and, you think how much chrome you have in your house. So we had to find a pink chrome for that. And that's the hardest thing.
Oh my God, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. There's more chrome in the world than you care to think about. Yeah.
But, and also, from a graphic point of view as well, Alicia and her team, the fantastic gobbledygook graphics that were created as well, that it's a language all of its own.
I mean, the thing about this film is that we always like to work outside our teams as well as within our teams, collaborate well with, obviously Jacqueline costume and everything. But it was so essential on this, it was so essential all the way down through to the opening moment when Margot opens the fridge, and there's all the decals in the back and all of that, but they loved it. They believed it. Yeah. It helped emphasize the toyness. And, the way we worked out the graphics, and Alicia Martin, who led a brilliant team, and it's within set deck in the way we work. She sort of captured that sort of mid-century, which we also did with the furniture, and it's just, I love the decals. It's our new word.
We love that word because that's, in one of our many meetings with Greta, she was going to talk about decals. And we're going, what's a decal? No idea. Of course, it's a sticker, isn't it?
We just call it stickers.
We call them stickers or transfers, they're called, but, so decal, it became the kind of word du jour, and they're everywhere. All the palm trees, we made our own decals for the leaves. So, so they're all kind of cut out and cut in. And then we printed up all of the decals to stick on the palm trees and things like that. So, and they're everywhere.
The books they read are plastic, and they have a title, and we just had a hysterical time making new titles. You'll see that Barbie is reading Barbie Karenina by her bed, and I Barbie in the Willow. Yeah, so we had such fun with them.
Yeah.
And that's, a combination of what we made, graphics, art department, prop, set deck, everything. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Those books were hilarious, I have to say. They cracked me up. And my favorite thing was the fridge. I mean, that was the best. It had to have been quite a balance to arrive at that, to get to how to translate toydom into real world. You also had, how many scales were you working with?
Those are miniatures.
Yeah.
So that's Barbieland beyond the cul-de-sac. So this is the world beyond. So they're 1 to 18 miniatures, and all built and then scanned by VFX. So we have the colors, the textures, the kind of toy quality. And then they built the world beyond with all these elements in it. They reconfigured them, and so that was very important. To keep that toy quality, the miniature quality, and the in-camera quality. This was such an important thing, because if you're being a child, which is what we're all asking to be, you want to believe that you can put your hands in there, and that is something that you can hold, touch, and then this is the real. That's the real set.
Yeah, that's the real one.
That was 23% smaller than life size, and I know that's a very kind of peculiar, kind of cryptic thing to say, but it's this whole thing of toyetics, which is a Mattel word that we found afterwards, is that it's reducing the size so that the doll feels big in the space. And so that's why all of the ceilings and everything were low.
That's the set deck sort of working model. And it's the first time we've really done anything and coloured it like that, because we only had a certain amount of time. So we'd never worked with Greta before. So we wanted to make sure she knew what was coming, because what was coming was a lot of colour. And it was so useful. And also for the dressing, because then, we've talked about there's obviously no walls in the house. So you don't have your normal perimeter and background. So, when we're dressing, it was up to the top of a house, down to the bottom. What does that look like from over here? Up again, up, because you haven't got the walls or a natural wallpaper. That's a second. Yeah, that's one of the other Barbie's beds. Yeah. We made slightly different beds for each house. These are the two types of bed.
That is Barbie and Ken.
That is showing Barbie and Ken, and that's our board in the middle, showing the difference and what it would make. But yes, we made, I think, 4 or 5 beds, and we wanted it to be a bit like when she wakes up, like Botticelli's Venus. And we also made all the linen, all the sheets, and we made them in silk and see what would work, and satin and normal pillows. And then we put them on. This just wasn't working. So it was the taking things away, the absence of things. So we just went with these sort of very Hollywood type cushion pillows, because it just framed her better. And then that's our crystal bedspread.
I love that.
We sourced fabric from all over the place. We had some really nice velvets and things like that. But Margot's bedspread was actually, that crystal fabric was actually just from a market, because it had that sort of toy quality to it, because it wasn't too rich and it didn't have too much depth to it. And that's our, trying to work out all the pink fabrics and pink colours together.
Yeah, I mean, that was the amazing thing about the pinks, was it's as much as what they were, but what they did to other things around them, so you put a beautiful blue next to a pink and suddenly the blue goes grey, so it's trying to find the balance was.
And that one is just showing which way, we had an amazing drapes department, absolutely amazing. And they made everything, including, the little hobby horses that Ken rides in when he goes to battle. They were really good, and they had so much to do. They made the parasols, the umbrellas, everything was upholstered.
There's an example of everybody just having fun. I mean, we want the hobby horses, and then suddenly there's like 30 of them, all different, all with their own personalities. I mean, it's fantastic.
And Annie, one of the drapes department, she had COVID, but so she had to go home, but she said, I'm going to keep making those horses. And then we actually went to a saddler to get the bridles.
Yeah. What Katie does fantastically is, so the horses, they weren't scripted, so these are things that, that out of your childish approach to life, maybe, You know, so it's like we're hobby horses, and then they became such an integral part of the whole battle. You know, and to the extent that somebody's giving it kind of mouth to mouth resuscitation. You know, and they're galloping in, and it's just like, you know, these it's the way things evolve. You know, and
that's the joy of what we do, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's like ideas on top of ideas on top of ideas,
and then you throw the lot at Greta and the actors. And because Greta and the actors are so brilliant, you know, they pick up an awful lot and play with them, you know, and particularly Ryan and all the stuff that went into Kendom. Yeah.
Oh, so. Kendom was such an insane thing. So you've created the whole world of Barbieland, and then you have to create the whole world of Kendom.
Yeah. That was kind of tricky as well, Ken, wasn't it? He was tricky.
To understand what Greta meant when she meant very ugly.
Yeah.
But really? Do
you mean this, Greta? She said, yeah. And then that was a license just to have fun. And then if you see all the games, all the things they play, there's always a small one next to it, because that's how they learn. And so, you know, if they're playing sort of table football, there's a little one next door, because then they learn first on a small thing, so they know what they're doing on a big thing. But the wonderful thing is the televisions, I think. All the televisions, all with the same footage, all placed in these sort of, well, was where we could as well.
That was classic. So, you know, there were going to be these televisions with horses on, and because we have no walls, and we had these giant televisions, and we just thought, well, let's just get them anywhere. And actually, I think that it became like, weirdly, because it was so ugly, it had its own beauty.
Absolutely.
You know, and you go to those wide shots and you see all those televisions, you know, there were 21 or 22 of them in, and they're playing these horses galloping in slow motion towards camera.
It's quite melancholic.
And it's just like, wow, there's something really beautiful about that, you know. And it was, you know, and it was something that, you know, it's this whole idea that Ken and what he does and his idea of patriarchy and everything, but it's not dirty. It's just there. It's all on top of everything that was there. So it has a very strange kind of I don't know.
I think it has a kind of innocence to it as well, because literally they just shoved things to the side, or Barbie stuff to the side, and then on top came his world and their friend's world. Yeah. And I mean, we made so many horse towels, lampshades, everything. We're still making all that because, of course, we've got clearance issues, as we know. And because we shot out of sequence, what was quite funny, so we went, because of actors' availability, you're going back and forth all the time. When we came back to Barbieland, everybody went, oh. When the Ken stuff went and we came back, everyone went.
All the girls did.
All the girls. And then nothing was sold on the show, nothing. Everything went into storage. But I'm going to tell you that 50% of the crew wanted to buy all of the Kendom, all the leather sofas, the little mini fridges, 50%. I'm not saying which 50%, but we had, you know, all the boys wanted to buy all the Kendom. Yeah,
and the massage chairs and the hoops and everything. Yeah. And Kendom came in, went out, came in, went out, you know, because of the shooting schedule. So dress, undress. So, you know, the girls would all go, oh, and the boys would go, oh, great.
And then at the end, you have the harmony of everything and a bit of weird Barbie in there as well.
Yeah, to make it even more complicated. Perfect Barbieland was only there for the first 12 pages of the film, and then it all starts to go wrong. So that's the, you know, and in fact, the way that it's put together, it's over the title sequence. That is Perfect Barbieland, and after that is when it all begins to go wrong. Yeah, you know. So it's really funny that people just think
it stays with you, doesn't it? Yeah. I'd say the other difficult thing to do for everybody was her jacuzzi. Yeah, we had all of those, and we didn't want to see any wires. Yeah.
But can I just say, it was so worth it, and Greta loved it so much, you know, that she actually changed a whole shot.
Yeah, so she moved it right into the back of the shot,
basically turning the sink around,
which is great. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. You talked about dealing more with costume designers than usual. Were you beholden to, because of Mattel, starting with actual Barbie costumes?
I think Jacqueline Duran, the costume designer, dealt more with Mattel and their archives, and some of them that Margot wears are directly copies.
But I think she had the choice.
She had the choice when she wanted to,
and particularly like at the beginning when you have the multitude of Barbies, you know, they are classic Barbie recreations. But I think like us, is using the reference of Barbie and the Barbie world, but we're not recreating in any way. We are interpreting it for our film, so it's really interesting that everybody goes, oh my God, I had a dream house like that. And you go, okay, that's great. That means we've succeeded, because the dream house is not like any dream house, and it's like cherry picking all the best bits of all the dream houses, and then putting in a bit of kind of Palm Springs modernism, and putting a bit of this, and the fact that we're not in Malibu, in fact we're in some kind of mountainous landscape, and Palm Springs.
Mattel weren't prescriptive at all.
No, they were great.
They weren't. They came over. We had a meeting with them. We showed them things, and they're great. They went. That
was interesting, because that was one of my first questions to Tom Ackley, who's one of the producers, Margot's husband, before I even spoke to Greta. And I just said, well, what's Mattel's take on this? Because this is an amazing script. And you just think, wow, this is quite subversive. What do Mattel think? He said, Mattel are 100% behind it. They love it. And they are. And I said, but what about, when we design stuff? He said, no, you don't have to show them anything. They are free reign. It's our film. And that's what so Greta, she'd had lots of conversations with them, and she'd got their confidence, and, they just thought fantastic. And they were fantastic. They were so supportive. And, even to the extent that when they came over and we did show and tells for them.
Put all the things out, and so they came over, and they came like Will Ferrell, quite a few of them came over together. And we laid it all out in the set deck office with all the, they're nice, the showy props we'd made, and they loved it. And so they picked up these little stickers that we'd made that had decals. Barbie on decals. And I said, well, do you want those stickers? Do you want to take some away with you? Oh, yes. So they took all these, didn't they? Yeah. So they were fine,
And so I think, going back to the costumes, certainly they have now made Barbie dolls with Jacqueline's costumes. So they're recreating. So it's a kind of weird kind of symbiosis, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, it was a brilliant brand to work with. But it wasn't a case of recreation, because there isn't a Barbie Dreamland. It doesn't exist. So and then the houses, and the fact that they had to be even more open than the Barbie dream houses are open. The fact that you need to cross shoot, and and it was lots of
and I mean, and the thing is, it comes from Greta as well, because she said, I want this Barbieland to be beautiful. I want it to be beautiful, but still playful. That set had to be like, if it was Christmas and you were opening a present, it's got to be the present you want to open on Christmas Day or whenever, And
honestly, that's what it was like when you open the studio doors and the actors come in, and it's like they were like squealing. It was like,
oh yeah. Do you remember the first time Greta saw it?
The
finished set, the finished, when we said, look, it's finished, it's dressed,
it's lit.
Again, directors, they come sometimes with a posse or something like that for the first time, and it was lit and it was ready, and the set filled the whole soundstage, and you could walk up Barbie Way and around, and so it was all lit, and we let Greta go alone in there, to walk up the street and around, and we heard, that's when we heard her squeal as well. Yeah. So that was great.
Yeah,
I mean, she's everybody.
Her enthusiasm and articulate joyousness. I mean, she, you've heard her speak. She is a genius, and she was in that sense, she was a genius to work with, because she, she would explain things so well, and then she'd go off on these incredible tangents, and then she'd start acting out these incredible moments and whatever, and you'd end up in absolute hysterics. So you'd spend a whole hour long. In the early Zooms, you'd spend a whole hour long, and you'd forget what the question was, and you would just have, because she was so brilliant and
super smart,
and it's her on that, her and Noah. They are on that page. It is absolutely, and however we muddle through when we make films, you kind of muddle it through, and you end up making the film that was on that page that she's happy with, and that is just But nobody had a clue when we set out. It's like, well, what is it? What does it mean to be doll? What's a doll? And then that's when Greta would start, describing how, they would go in for a kiss, and they've got the straight arms, and they go in, but they don't actually touch, right? And then it's in the film where he goes, I'm not quite sure, and you just go,
she's and like, what's her idea to do? She said, okay, we'll do a couple of outside. She talked about scale earlier, outside things. We'll give her like maybe a giant hairbrush, and then we made her a giant toothbrush. And we don't do that all the way through, because you don't need to see her having giant things after that. You're on that journey, you're on that Brechtian belief, and that was very clever.
Yeah. And it still carried on right to the end where, and this is, and I only clocked it about the third time I saw the film was when, when Barbie Margot, and she's so upset and the Kens have taken over, and she sits on the grass, and she sits there, and then she just goes like that, like a doll over. And you just go, there are probably about a dozen moments in the film where they are pure doll.
Yeah.
And that you'd believe it. They don't need joints, they don't need CGI, they don't need anything. They are sublime actors, basically.
Yeah. I think Margot's performance, the humanity that she puts into that doll, and when she makes those decisions, and when she goes off with Ruth Handler, and when she's sitting on the bench with Anne Roth in real LA.
Yeah. But that was a funny thing of, the classic shooting the ashtray moment. And Greta was going, no,
the bus stop.
The bus stop. This location's not right. This location's not right. And we go, well, what's wrong? It's like, and then she said, it's this old woman who's so beautiful, like Anne Roth. And then everybody just looked at her and said, okay, it will be Anne Roth. And therefore it was no longer a problem with the location. It was never a problem with the location. It was always, she didn't know who this beautiful old woman was. It's Anne Roth. Of course it's Anne Roth.
And it was a very special thing, that scene for her.
Yeah.
It obviously means
that was so cool.
Really special for her. Yeah.
But
that was the coolest.
Yeah. And of course, frankly, coming to LA and shooting, well, we were here shooting for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was so brilliant. So brilliant because, what we know of Americana and of LA, and our translation of it into Barbieland, and then coming back here and seeing the real thing. There is Venice Beach, there's the lifeguard thing, there's the palm trees, and these are wonderful palm trees on Venice Beach covered in graffiti, and there's our palm trees in LA. They've got, but in Barbieland, a bit of pink and everything, and you've got this juxtaposition, and it was kind of like it's a reverse Oz in a way. That Barbieland is Oz and LA is Kansas, and it's kind of like this monochromatic reality, And I love when I saw the final film, because I always loved, in a lot of our references, we put the two together, kind of real LA and Barbieland.
Like we did with Ken and
when with kind of Wayne T-Bolt's paintings, and then, there's all the kind of smog and things in LA, no offense, but, but then you to actually, when the final edit came in and you're cutting between the two such a lot, and when you're going through the transitions and you're cutting back to real LA and you're cutting back to Barbieland. And so you get that very strong kind of connection between the two worlds. And I absolutely love that. I think visually it was really striking. And of course, being here and shooting in LA was a dream because it was real and it was there and it was tangible.
It was also mad because we were on Venice Beach and, with Margot and Ryan in those amazing costumes. So, and that's another clever bit of writing, I think, that you go through these theatrical transitions, which were such fun. We should talk about them. Yeah. And then they land in Venice Beach and they seem like aliens, which in what can seem quite an alien place anyway.
Yeah. So to make Jacqueline's costumes are genius there to make them aliens on Venice Beach, and the contrast was so fantastic. And then, to shout out for marketing, right? Normally marketing were amazing, to allow those photos out, that image of them is just, sublime because sublime, them landing there was brilliant, wasn't it?
And talk about marketing with you all wiping out the world's supply of pink paint.
That was just my bedroom. Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, Jan, that was, do you know what? That was the first interview we ever did. And it was with Architectural Digest. And it was an off-the-cuff comment of mine. And it was true, but the thing was, we didn't know we wanted the pink paint until we wanted it, so, we'd been doing all these tests and literally 100 pinks, starting from kind of salmon pinks right through to the horrid purpley pornographic pinks. And in the middle was the sweet spot, right? And it was made from this Roscoe pigment that it's almost black in the pot. It's like so dense, and you mix it up with the whites and things.
Part of the issue was that James, the set deck painter, had mixed it up to do some furniture. So they just mixed up a little bit because that's all we need.
That's all they had in the pot. He happened to have that much in the bottom of a pot, and we go, "Oh my God,
that was the perfect one." Yeah,
right. And so then we go, "Okay, well, we'll have 200 liters of this pure pigment," and we went, No, you won't.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is then everybody kind of got onto it of trying to find what there was around the world, which we kind of gathered. And then we got something else that was an addition, almost the right kind of pink. But yeah, it was very funny.
It was quite messy.
We didn't cause the shortage. No. We exacerbated.
But you did have Warner's executives calling other executives.
Yeah,
it was a little bit,
and it was a bit like
imitating life.
Yeah, it was like, get me the pink paint. Yeah, so
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many details that you envisioned the entire world and then created it. As you were saying, the small bits, the oversized hairbrush and the toothbrush and the, when she makes her waffles in the morning, which was hilarious. And the, the pouring of the fake milk and that there's no liquid. And the other thing that I loved was her closets, her wardrobes.
That was hard to make. It was really hard because the curved wall and obviously it had to work, and
no hinges.
Saying to the guys, no, we can't have hinges. They said, can we have this little no, we can't have hinges. The whole thing is it has to look like so box. They're like, well, why can't we have a hinge? But you would know it would be different if you had hinges running down the wardrobe. And then they said, it's okay, because what we can do, we've got brilliant magnets to put all the stuff in with. I said, that's great, but we still can't have hinges.
Yeah.
And then Betty to put all the stuff in there and everything. I mean,
and the outsides. And there you have more outside stuff. You have outside lipsticks and things like that. So.
Yeah, the lipsticks. That was an interesting make, because I didn't realise. I didn't really think it through until we did Barbie. That of course some things are much bigger as well because of the little hands that play with them. The lipsticks are that big,
and that's actually why the hairbrushes are bigger. Because little hands
can pick them up.
Yeah. So,
there you go. Yeah,
and also that's working very closely with Jacqueline because she has to literally wear the dress, but the other stuff is kind of our approximation of what she would have.
Yes, and then of course there was never enough, no matter how helpful. So then that was Nettie in the corner. So then Betty had to. We obviously went and sourced at all the sort of second-hand shops to get the stuff.
Yeah.
But that's just us trying it out in the workshop.
Yeah, and then of course what Ken does when he takes over.
Yeah,
he puts all his clothes in there.
Yeah.
So
there's the double B on the carpet. I don't know if you can see it in there. So that was the embossed carpet we made. And the dressing table. And
the mirror that can't be mirror.
The mirror, a bit more mirror there. A bit of chrome on the tap.
Okay, so we have to talk about Weird Barbie.
Oh, we love Weird Barbie.
Yeah.
That's us trying to make the prototype Weird Barbie. Yeah.
And do you know what, Jan, I'm going to tell you this because Katie won't tell you. So that little set, whether the girl's chopping the hair off and everything, Katie sat in there for a day. She went and hid. And she was playing with all the toys and making up the scenario.
I was making Weird Barbie.
Making Weird Barbies, just like that, kind of chopping the hair, and burning it and things like that. And so I think Katie's really Weird Barbie.
I love Weird Barbie. In this life,
yeah.
You know what? It's method set decorating.
Yeah, so that's that's the best bit.
Well, that is the best bit, and that's what you do, isn't it?
But also, it was Weird Barbie from a set deck point of view was a little bit tricky because it was written like there were scrolls and treasure and everything all over the place. And then once we'd worked it out, what was going to happen, that wouldn't have fitted at all. Oh, I just say I love the cat. I love the cat mobile. Yeah, and also that's the vulture mailbox because that suited with Barbie. Everybody else had a flamingo or a kingfisher, and that's Valerie the vulture. We wanted to make her. We love her. But then it had to tell all this story because Weird Barbie holds all the secrets of the universe. She is behind using Oz. She's the curtain behind the curtain, and so. And it was a dream house that has gone slightly wrong, like Weird Barbie.
Like she's the Barbie that's gone wrong. That house is a dream house that's gone wrong.
So that's why we put the different fabrics on the same sort of furniture. Obviously, we made the dog and all of that, Tana the dog. But I love that carpet. But
see, that's that carpet. That's a bit of kind of happy happenstance. That when Barbie Margot, her dress when she's at the end, and that dress got paler and paler and paler as she was losing all her makeup and her looks. You might notice from the beginning to the end. and she ended up on that rug, and that rug is actually paler than everything else. So in fact, that was a beautiful kind of synergy by chance.
And also, when we go to the magical kitchen, she also has that circular rug at the period.
Yeah.
So it all is connecting. But I was going to talk about Pandora's box, because I love that Pandora's box. So we made this box that would contain everything. And so we put all sorts of stuff in there, ranging from, one of my personal favorites is a potato, through to, and then we made her the snow globe, which has Weird Barbie's house in, and the clackers and everything like that.
That's the box.
And so it opens up, she can pull it around. And of course, Kate McKinnon just played it incredibly. But we had to do a concept and a drawing of that to show it to Greta, to say, you know, it affects the action so much. How do you feel about this? And
I mean, it was interesting because in the script, Greta described the house as kind of full of rubbish, but we knew that that's not toy. That's not what it would be. So it was kind of thinking about how we can have these things that she appears with, you know. But so Katie came up with this idea of that they're just in this box, and she rummages, you know. And I love it when she bends over and you see all the frills of her underskirts. Yeah. I mean, it's just
it's all reflective.
So beautiful. And the maps come out the roof,
and the maps that come down, and
there isn't a single right angle in Weird Barbie. So but it has the same elements, like the thickness of the pink. The pink framing is very important because that is a Barbie dream house and the right size. But our influences there it was kind of like the Boo Radley house, you know, in Kill a Mockingbird. So we don't want to, don't look, don't go there. And then, of course, it's a bit like the Psycho house. And I don't know if anybody, I love this. You remember the Wacky Races? Do you remember the creepy coupe? The car, the creepy coupe. That's what the Weird Barbie ambulance is based on, which is the house made into like the Psycho house. And that's the Weird Barbie ambulance. So
it's like she's like a snail in some ways when she goes there. She takes the house with her.
But honestly, Jenny, this is what you say is, do you have fun?
Yeah.
You know, when you get into it like this, you know so much about it and you have so much fun. And this is where we had so much fun, wasn't it? The last set, and we, you know, you're so confident in what you know about this world that you
and the colour, the use of colour now has gone a bit.
Yeah.
And also I love the Murano lights as well.
Yeah. And truth be told, there is a shark in the bottom of that swing.
There is always a shark there for you,
for me. Lots of sharks.
Sugar. Yes, we made sugar. Yeah, and we also gave America Ferrera on her keyring when she's in America is sugar.
Yeah,
you know, her car keyring.
Yeah.
So there's,
unbeknownst to her,
and there's Valerie again. Those floats we made, and we have obviously because the pools Sarah did were just beautiful, and we cut the bottom off all the floats, you know, we made them so it looks like they're sitting in the water.
In the water, and also when the Kens come, you've got those big protein plastic protein tins. So you slice them off, so they're floating in the water as well. You know, it's
just entertaining ourselves and everybody.
Yeah,
there she is, Valerie. But look at the skill of the painters.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
How did they get the shine? The inflatables look so much like inflatables. How did they get?
They were really heavy.
Yeah, just heavy. I mean, heavy spraying. We did lots of sort of tests and everything.
Brilliant painters.
Really, and makers. They made them as well. So they made them so they looks like
they look blow up, but they're not.
Yeah,
every little detail, all the little indents, and it's incredible.
And I like Margot's flamingo mailbox because on the other side where you put your post, you drop that down, and that's the electric charging point for the car.
Oh my God, I love it. There was just so many treats in the whole thing, and I love that you embraced it so well, that you influenced the script and you influenced how it was shot.
I mean, it's just a confluence of you know, of coming together, everybody just, you know, taking it and running with it. And then, you know, under kind of Greta's tutorage, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like you just go into this role, you know, and you know, all the departments were amazing, absolutely amazing. And then poor Rodrigo has to shoot those colors. I mean, bless him. He is a genius.
He really is.
He really is.
He must have thought, oh, okay, I've got through Barbieland and I've got through this and I've got through that. And then, of course, the Mattel HQ. With that big mirrored heart-shaped table.
Oh, my God. I love this. This was so amazing.
In the script, it was described as a a 6-year-old girl's pink and fluffy heart.
Ah,
Good description.
Yeah, and
it's so gorgeous.
Yeah. And it's a halfway world, isn't it?
Between Los Angeles and
look at the painting there; it's beautiful.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, it is amazing when you look at it. Oh my God! But the whole thing about it was that Greta had this idea that Mattel are like half in Barbieland, half in the real world. So we actually did the cloth outside, as if it's in, I don't know, Century City. I don't know where it was.
Yeah.
So we painted the cloth, but we moved all the elements around in it. So you have the Hollywood sign, you have Warner Brothers Discovery right in the middle, and over in the distance is downtown. But we made downtown, we rejigged it slightly so it's off on the right there.
Yeah.
So it looks like the Emerald City, So it's just like, oh, I don't know, just a...
Yeah, and you got to think, there's when Will Ferrell came into this set, and funny. It was so funny. He said, "Oh, I live over there," and he pointed to something where he lived. Yeah. And then the painter put the little house on.
Seen it when we're just going to put this little house in. Yeah. So, but and again, this was and that great box. I love the box.
That was quite a tricky thing. The Barbie box. Yeah. That was quite tricky because we wanted that sort of fragility.
We wanted to sell Katie.
Oh yeah, there you go. I'm still in there. No, but the ones they use at all the premises really rigid. What we wanted, they're quite wobbly when you open the boxes. They've got that very thin plastic. But
those were perfect. And also the again, talk about marketing. They put those in all the theaters.
Yeah. Again, that comes down to what the graphics that Alicia did for that. It's kind of like exactly what the Barbie box, and it's got the picture of the house, and it's and it's got the
just make it better. Everybody just makes things better.
Yeah,
you've got a good team.
It's the surprises that we get as well.
I mean, I had such an amazing team, really amazing, all the way through from Nettie and Betty and Cara, and all the way through to John and Dan, all the way, and the drapes and the makers and the graphics that you cannot.
Yeah, and then also picked up by the teams over here. They picked it up really quickly. So this is what we're doing, and it's like really, and yep. Okay, and they were fantastic. They got into the groove very quickly.
That's great. I mean, I have to say, it comes from the top. You two inspire everyone, and then I love when the team contributes and takes your ideas and makes it even better, which is such a gift to us.
You're nothing without your team.
You're nothing without
absolutely nothing. No. In the same way, Greta's nothing without us, is she?
Well, she might be all right. She might be all right.
Exactly.
She might get by. Yeah. But also, we just should mention the magical kitchen, because that was like, back to what we do.
We loved that set.
Yeah.
That set, it stood for the whole 16 weeks because we were supposed to shoot it on day one and it never got shot. And it stood there and we kept going back to it, didn't we? Just sitting in there and having a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Because
we were on all the stages and we had these bicycles we used to cycle round, but they always found us.
Yeah. I think they had trackers.
No, they're under transitions.
But again, that magical kitchen, that kind of 1950s magical kitchen, because, and again, it's like what you pick up as you go on in your careers and things. When we were here for the Soloist all those years ago, and I had this most beautiful kind of Spanish style 1920s house. And you just look at the detail, and you just go, you just remember what these amazing kitchens are like here. It's kind of like, and that was such a treat to research and do.
It was. And Greta loves singing in the rain.
Yeah.
And so thought, now we need to find the kitchen sequence in Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
We need to find, which is tricky in the UK. We need to find those chairs. That Gene Kelly was sitting on and Singing in the Rain. And so I think we virtually did. And there's lots of, a big discovery on this is Ruth Handler, how much she did. She invented the Magic 8 Ball, all these other things. So there's a little doll's house we made that's in there that's made of cardboard. And her sewing and all of that. So we love all those.
But again, you see, that's just kind of making life interesting for us and challenging for us and
challenging,
challenging. But also, I mean, it was just, as well for us when we first started to find out about Ruth Handler and what she did And, you know, and that's amazing. That's an amazing story. So it was really nice to honor her in that set. And then at the end when she comes and, you know.
Actually, I love those sets as well. I love the openness of sets, you know, the sets, you know, where they do the big dance. That's beautiful. Beautiful.
That was Singing in the Rain as well. There's so many film references in there.
I have to say, you two really grasped Americana. You really nailed everything. I mean, all the kooky things that are our colloquials here, you really nailed it. And
that means a lot coming from you, Jan.
It certainly does. And also it was, you know, it's, I suppose, you know, being outsiders, you know, that when we come along and we see a palm tree, we go, oh my God, there's a palm tree. And we so love it. But it's true, isn't it? It's kind of like, we're so completely fascinated.
But it is like, you know, not knowing what a decal was. It's a bit like when we, you know, I was saying with Ashley, it's like that we love the word, like what you call, we call an angle poise
lamp.
An angle poise lamp. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, an angle poise lamp. It's a swan arm lamp, I think you call it. So so it's all of those things,
different things. So
interesting.
We learn from each other. That's the
absolutely. Well, this has been a total delight, and you know how much I adore you two. And congratulations on Barbie, and thank you for giving us such a wonderful treat in everything that you do. Thank you so much.
We've really enjoyed it. It's been great.
It's been great and great fun to do and great fun to talk about it. So thank you for
thank you for asking.
See you tonight.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Inside the Set with Set Decor. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website, setdecor.com.